Luckily, I kind of have two poems that are sort of on point for this, though I'm sure now I've said that there's going to be someone who's going to tell me if they're not.
That's the fear.
Pardon?
That's the fear.
That's the fear. And what is poetry readings if not just fear and anxiety? This poem's called My Movie, and I got the idea for this from the kind of movie Ghost Dance, where Derrida obviously appears playing himself and the phone rings. It's a very charming scene. And it's a kind of non-autobiographical poem. And I'm just going to read it because I've already completely shown I have no idea what I'm talking about. My Movie. Thinking of the movie a lot recently. It opens with Durson in bed facing a large frame, a photograph of Ruby Light. Cut to tracking shots, kid in the library, alone, nights, vexed by strip lighting. You're in someone else's nightmare. He is called Alan Durson. The immediate temptation is to despise him. His favourite word is now on the cut back. Sunset drenched in monochrome. Power is an ache, smells like BO but less determinate. Alan is 14, February crumbling into March, cornered in the changing room. His boxers pulled off, this is things going to plan. The most beautiful boy there turns devastating pink and spits on him. Elsewhere, when now was better, when it was a plan. Now we're watching Durson at 23 in the library again at night, poring over a book with blank pages. Then another young man, another library, somewhere else, a pseudo-Gothic affair you might see in a 90s Pilgrim's Run. His dark room shown perilously unattended. A shaft of light makes a child of itself, falls backwards into a drain. I've named it August Mon Amour, so as to turn you off immediately. I'm telling you this in the hope it may suggest a plan. For my movie about August and September, Alan Durson all alone in the library at night, summer stretched to breaking point. He lives in a slow room, in the library late at night, with much pressure behind the eyes. Then sleep until 2, the cafe for 5 hours, gets to the library for 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. and stays there. In my movie, I don't want characters more. Alienated obsessions, tedious nows, so tedious it makes me think of slow afternoons, lawn chairs, throbbing heat, familial resentment, open flowers, smiling. Say, oh, cut the melodramatics, won't you? I've a headache. If I was just some softcore straight boy, how easy it'd be to write about my dreams. My movie is so young. A broken divan, aching months collapsing into each other. I've forgotten the secondary protagonist, other kid, other library. Name something delicate like Eli or Lyric. I just don't know him at all. Colour palette should be an uncomfortable summer day. Not at odds with the central theme, which looks like what, exactly? Nothing too distracting. I enjoy movies that do the whole surreal-like take on the horrors of life. The movie must not be a standard affair. Soft lighting is a maybe, perhaps it could be set in a Swedish ashtray. Durson smokes a sexy cigarette, flecks of ash pirouette in the 7 p.m. sun. Visual refrain is a blurred shoulder in the corner of the shot, Alan turning back. A bit more Orphic pontificating. Alan, it's a beautiful morning. Alan, don't. My movie must have a lot of sky. Durson under a sky the colour of red brick, of old washcloth, silk pyjamas, smashed fruit, a filthy fish tank, cum stain. His big line is, fuck your lyric. The sky is like vulgar wallpaper. He is too anxious to go to the party, lurks outside, hungry ghost, a sky the colour of size. Thanks. This is a longer poem called A Communion of Whispers that I've never shown to anyone before. That's accident. I I didn't mean that to come out as gravely as it did, but it did. And now I'm here, so let's just go for it. And this is quite long, so if I go over time, I'm sorry.
You're absolutely fine. Just go for it. Just into it.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And this poem is in 2 parts. A Communion of Whispers. Morning just left, a huge ram, his head in your lap. Was naked, was running, hands through him. He used a sequence of ancient nouns, sounded like vapour, rising off a river very far away. School trip, all you were tears, snot. When you got home, your bedroom walls had been painted. Another boy called your mother a fat slut. Stood in a light shower. Been here before is what you say to yourself when scared. Smell stomach acid underneath cheap perfume, that's you. Here before, not rain. Ram lifts his man hand, rests his thumb on your chin. It's another way of saying this fear isn't anything new to me. Why should I be any more or less scared than before? Another time, before God, almost enjoyed it. They almost enjoyed it. There is some joy to be taken from bitterness. Think of it as a nice long line. You will not sleep, snot. A carnival pitched in pale yellow scrublands. Colours twitch counterclockwise like a fucked minute hand. 3 weeks before the sky opened, a crushed pomegranate. All night lurking on BODMOD forums, reading testimonies from people who perform self-amputations. Sure, this is healthier than it sounds, but not. The hottest night of the year. You're drenched in the thought of it, somewhere between mud and words. What are you most driven to lose? Voice will creep out the gored sky and say, "Lo." You once made her a gin and soda, watched her sip it for 40 minutes. She said he never got out of bed, not for the whole time. I knew him. Somewhere else, some other time, the sky will open to some other guy. You're ahead of yourself. Sky is open before you. A voice like a storm, minutes before a storm. Ram emerges upwards from bramble, licks mud from his hooves. We're 19, outside a gay bar called Gorgeous, its nickname Anything But. 2 men walked past, called you puff, another forced your mouth. There is a certain satisfaction derived from the click of a latch in your empty flat. Blinds were left down, several vertical bars of light across your balled-up tissues. Ram sits in the armchair, handed down to you by your mother. Is this love? Asks Ram, lifting a desiccated apple core. Music nearby from a neighbour's barbecue. Smoke rises. Most likely utterly miserable, like all barbecues, all parties. Snot puts on his glasses and looks out the window, smiling, really, seriously, thinking, I'm going to catch a train somewhere, thinking, I know, and none of you know. That slow joy of the knowing is for me, not you. Ram gone with his eerie tenderness. Part 2. I didn't mean to say that intentionally. Part 2. And this bit is called a lyric history. Not moving through soft slumber of some dead town, the one he grew up in or some approximate of it. Another way of saying this is, yes, the here in question that felt like drowning, tasted like something that did part-time at the supermarket, wore a name badge that says oyster catcher. They used to pretend they were looking out to sea despite the town being the furthest one from sea. With serfs in the sopping kingdom of shame, said oyster catcher. Snot, a hyper-abundance of girls, owes use of the word carrion to describe you both, his fucking fashion blog. Scum on the surface of the canals, 8 pounds between you. Always some nearby violence, a group of lads like crashing waves, asking, will always be asking oyster catcher if he's a faggot. You all snot watching him pretend not to have heard, muttering something about Janae and a flick knife. Everyone always asking him to talk louder. Oyster catcher, electric pink against Gainsborough's not with him, shifted a little away as if that might negate the wide horror of love. You were so small, you two, so essential to this place, its crude biology. Ram in rain, ramming down very hard outside the cinema, and you were the rain, not crumbling some foam in your fingers. Snot wondering, no more baby, just life, the only person there. A tiny little thing, spasmodic neon of the food stand, silent pressure, special screening, 100th anniversary of someone's death. Vapours rising off the river, music escaping. Life in this town is a big fake yawn. Sometimes it's less scary to stay in bed, your horns are showing. Homes you were never invited to. No time for thought, think sewage, not 5, 6 p.m, late summer. Him, late summer, sweat, maybe tears, oyster catcher rain. You didn't have time for this, not tonight. Joy of being needed and of refusing that need. All quiet things between Ram and God. Look at you snots, guided back as if by some ancient principle, snakes sliding somewhere slowly, silent. Your breath slips out of you, orange light across concrete, bleeding in a manner of speaking, nostalgia collapsing into something much sharper, vivifies the last thing you'd spoken about, oyster catcher in rain, where you left him, deep light spreading itself on the walls, you lurk in between each shaft of it. The knowing is all in the unknowing, a selective absence of light accentuates the contours of the space. It feels at once cavernous and suffocating, as if all your experience were playing out on the walls of a subterranean cave, thinking what was thought, daringly poetic motif. Days at a time without putting trousers on, it's either lovers or someone knows to die. 100th time would dare to be caught dead somewhere, think of something else in the meantime. You ran out of things to say, the day you left him there begging, oyster catcher in rain, oh, bright pink, weeping, no decorum whatsoever, ahs and ums and the shrugging of shoulders. It doesn't have to be so painful, you said. Despair so sprightly, you just need to sit down a minute. Where could the word choke be applied but everywhere? Sometimes you watch him online, which is like being alive, greatly diffused like light through frosted glass at the cafe you used to go to share a single cup of coffee. Nothing carnal to it, just minutes and minutes. The only lover, a snake coiled in your heart, a rock spattered with forgetting and bird shit. Thanks.